This is Tea with Botha.
Welcome again to another riveting, invigorating session and episode that we're having. Today, I want you to help me to welcome Dr. Andrew Spaumer. And I emphasize Spaumer. I struggled before, and I wouldn't share with you off air. Struggled whether Spaumer or what. So a man of many heads. I mean, a social worker, a lecturer, recently newly minted PhD from the University of South Africa. I mean, a conflict resolution. He does a lot of things. But look, I mean, I want you to hear from the horse's mouth. And we're privileged. I must emphasize, we're privileged that he agreed to come to talk to us about something that it's never spoken about. Something that all of us, we fear to tread. Remember that old saying where angels fear to tread? We never talk about blended families. I mean, I am in a relationship where blended families are a reality. What is blended families? What do you understand about it? What are the challenges? What are there advantages? The issues of culture, issues of religion. I mean, kids, the impact. So it's something that I think I want to learn because there's conflict there. How do you resolve this? How do you deal with blended families? I mean, you have two people you're bringing together. They are different. I mean, they have different values. They have, different thinking, different ideologues, but you're bringing them together. How do you do that? Because some could argue and say, in fact, that's a recipe for disaster, or it's actually conflict is embedded in that. Let's hear from, and I want you to help me to welcome newly minted PhD, Dr. Spaumer. How are you in that?
Botha, thank you very much again for the opportunity. Yeah. And to all your viewers and supporters, please don't forget to like this great channel and continue telling others and share with others. Thank you very much again.
Amen. The way you're saying it, I'm afraid that you may take over from this man. Thank you so much. That they shouldn't forget. But tell me, who is Dr. Spaumer?
Look, young man, one of the videos that I saw you watching, you were interviewing someone from my village, Matokso. That's where I come from. And then,
who was that?
It's a medical doctor that you interviewed in one of your videos. And the surname is from my village there. That's where I come from. I came to Pretoria to stay here some years back as a young man who was just came out of Bible school. Then I came here and then I started a church in Nelmafias. It's about 20 years now, 24 years since.
Congratulations. Nelmafias.
Yes.
That's outside in the Mamelodi or something?
Mamelodi Ford Motor Company is in the territory of Nelmafias, by the way. And then when I was there and starting a church, I realized that what I'm doing, social workers are doing and are getting paid, but I'm not paid for it. And that is when I decided to go and study social work. And I was about 35 years. And bear in mind that at that time, I've been pastoring for many years and I've had marriages, I've counseled marriages, I have mentored marriages, I've seen people getting married, having children. Then a few years after, just graduated 2014, then I had problem in my own marriage, 2012, 13 there, I got problems. And in that same problems, that's where I thought, let me do a master's in social work. And I researched about conflict management in Black African.
That was 2018.
2013.
But did it come out 2013? Or?
2013, and I graduated in 2018.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, that research.
Yeah, that's the research on conflict management in Black African marriages.
Yeah, and then what were the outcomes?
Look, found out that conflict is there. One of the things that is interesting that I want to mention, number one, amongst African Black people, they will prefer to go to their pastors, sangomas, and others, spiritualists, to resolve their problems. And the social workers and psychologists, they are the last resort towards divorce, so that they go to court, they've got something to show. So mostly they don't start there. So for professionals, it's important to know that when people are coming to you in your practice, don't think that you are the first person of contact.
You're the last person.
You are the last person, and that is very much important. But also the importance of religious leaders and pastors was also seen in there, that they will consult with them to do. The other point that I want to mention is the role of lobola negotiators. That in most of the time in an urban context, they are not there. They come there to negotiate and they are gone. So it will be nice to see how those that are in rural areas include the lobola negotiators during the conflict. So those are the kind of things that I found and very much
That's
interesting.
research.
That
Outcome.
is research. Then after Mjolo trapped me,
Mujolo, what do you mean, Muruti?
the marriage failed. And I'm a counselor, by the way. And I'm doing counseling. I'm a social worker, I'm a pastor. The marriage fails. Then
Ordinarily, someone would think that yours would succeed.
Yeah, exactly. Then it hit me. It hit me that I ran away. And I ran away until I even stopped at the UK. No, I was in the UK for 3 years. Then when I was
doing what were you?
I was doing
pastor,
social work there.
social work.
Yeah, they look.
Already, you had
I qualified in 2011.
Mm.
Yeah, I qualified in 2011 as a social worker. Then went in the UK, but I realized, the thought came to my mind to say, but there are people, our forefathers were shipped here by force, and I shipped myself to the UK to go and become a slave. And whereas people in my country are suffering. And I could see that there's something that I can offer. Then I remember I thought I must do a PhD, and I tried to do a PhD. They told me 5 years. I said, 5 years? No ways. I'm going back to my country. And I came back. And
You had masters already?
Yes, I had my master's. When I came back, I registered for my PhD
With UNISA?
with UNISA, and they gave me a job. Someone went on study leave for 3 years, and they needed someone to replace the person. I replaced the person. I was doing my PhD
And lecturing.
and lecturing. Well, the same person I'm replacing is doing their PhD, but I'm happy that she's done. I'm also done. And yes, that's where I am now. I've got a PhD, Doctor of Social Work, and and I've got a blended family.
Tell us more about what is blended family?
After divorce, I had a son. I've got a son. Then
You mean in a marriage, you had a child?
in my marriage, I had a child.
Yeah.
And then
And the marriage collapsed.
marriage collapse.
Yeah.
Then I found a lady, my wife Nomsa,
Mm.
and she's got a daughter, and then we came together. We formed a family. So she came with the
So Nomsa came with a daughter. You came with
the son.
the son.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Don.
What are the ages?
At the time, 11, and she was still in grade 10, 11, around that 16, somewhere there. Yes, that's when we met. And we pushed it, and we are happy. My daughter is at varsity now. My son is doing grade 8, and we had to deal with a lot of other things. The children themselves, dealing with the exes, dealing with the family members.
I mean, but just before we get to the nitty-gritties of how would you define blended families?
Blended family. Okay, maybe let me just tap into religious a bit. Remember that in the story of the birth of Jesus,
Nazareth.
yeah, they said that it is written that Joseph was about to get married to Mary. And while he's busy preparing for the wedding, he noticed that this woman is pregnant. And it was not him. And then
That was the Holy
Spirit. And then he said that he wanted to leave Mary silently, but he was convinced that no, don't leave the woman. But Jesus, as he grew up as the first child of Joseph, of Mary, it was not the son of Joseph. So when we talk about a blended family, That is one great example that many will not even want to consider. But when you talk about that family, it was a blended family because he was living with someone that was not his father, but they were married. So a blended family is when you come with your children, I come with my children, or you can come with your children. If I don't have children, then we form a family. And that is where a blended family, we can explain it. And I think that is gives it a good example, even for the religious people who may shun a blended family. But that is the reality.
Interesting how you very basic talking to lay people out there. This is what blended family is. You bring your children, she brings
Children.
Yeah.
Or sometimes the other party might not have children.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like you were married before. Some people have children even when they are not married because parents can make mistake, but the children are never a mistake.
Oh, indeed. So you are saying that this is what blended family is.
Yes,
Blended family.
yes.
And then tell me, in your case, and I'll go back. I mean, there were the what were the tough times? Were they challenging? What the nature of your relationship? Look,
Yeah. Look, challenges are there, and actually, challenges are part of life. Coming from divorce, you've got a particular set of ways of thinking and doing things. And it is easy to acquire certain habits, which are then character, than to let them go. And if you're not careful, you'll want to take certain habits and into the new relationship without you even realizing that is part of you. Which also the other person that is coming into your life, they're coming with their own habits and patterns that they've established over time. So challenges will always be there. One of them was for me to be able to deal with my divorce because it was a devastating thing. And when I met my wife at the time, she was also went through divorce. So you could see that there was a lot of fear.
These were two people, two hurting people
coming
together.
And then also they are bringing the children. And the other thing that we must also establish there, that she had actually been divorced for some time. And I was just divorced. Fresh from there, right? So she created a particular lifestyle with her daughter that they could manage and it was able to deal with.
So you come in, you may actually be looked at someone who's going to threaten these nuclear family.
This is what they've created. Because remember that these people were hurt.
Yeah.
And this we talk not only for them, but this is what many come. When you are hurt, you put now measures in place to protect yourself, but also to protect your child. You're able to find your finances, your room, you set up your room, your place in such a way that it can accommodate you and your children or your child. Then all of a sudden, because a heart is a heart, you fall in love and this person comes. They are coming into the space.
This protected space.
Is that protect the two of them.
To someone may be that you are intruding.
Especially to this child. To these children that have had this relationship with their mother or their father. You are coming in as a stranger. And they can even question you. What are you doing here? But also they could question, are you not the person who broke up our parents' marriage?
Were you not responsible for their breakup?
Exactly.
Yeah. That we're in pain or we're in pain precisely maybe because of you.
Because of you.
So already there's antagonism.
Exactly. That is where now
they view you with suspicion.
As a suspect.
With suspicion.
Exactly.
As a suspect.
And you are coming in. Can you just imagine if you got 4 children and then you find someone with 4 children? They've created a way, the way they eat, they're eating out, they're enjoying their life. And then you are coming with your children and you come into a space. And someone, as a Limpopo girl said in soccer, Hagamatrokis, you are hugging your own.
Okay, Hagamatrokis.
Yeah, Hagamatrokis, you have got your own train that is pulling. She's also pulling. And then all this comes.
Matrokis,
then is a challenge. But also the other thing that is important to note there is not just Matrokis. There is someone that the court has endorsed a parenting plan.
Which is the acts of both of you.
So it's not only the children, there is the parent, the other parent as well. So you cannot say that you are marrying just this person.
Are you saying that you're also marrying that
That person is also part of this. You must
this arrangement?
This arrangement.
You must always think about it.
You must consider that. You cannot just think that they are not existing, because if there is a parenting plan in place, there is visitation rights. There is maintenance and support. There is also fun that depending, I can just imagine where, like me, we are three from my mother. Each one has got their father. And if you find that there's three parenting plan or three arrangement, and there's one that supports, the other is not supporting, and you are marrying this person, you can see some of the challenges that can come.
Recipe for disaster.
It's a disaster, but it can work. And that is where we need to end up going to see how do you make sure that such kind of a relationship works. Firstly, I will say that acknowledge that both of you have got a past.
So both you acknowledge this.
You have to talk about your past. You have to.
And how does that help us?
That help us to know where you come from. There's a concept that I normally do take with newlyweds. I say that there's a concept of risk assessment. When you do a project, you have to do a risk assessment. Risk assessment, we don't do it because we don't want to take the project, but because we want to put measures in place to make sure that anything that can cause the delay of the project or that can cause harm to the workers is addressed. Not that we will prevent all the risks, but we put those that we can identify. So even when you meet someone, say, I want to get married to this person, it's important that you do a risk assessment. The same principles that we use in business for risk assessment, we can use them in a relationship. So in this case, there is already, when I'm marrying you with children, that means there is a parent. So I must ask myself, what is the relationship between the person that I'm marrying and the children? And what is his relationship with his children? Because that relationship, if I'm not careful, if I don't know how to manage it even before I commit, it can have impact on our relationship. There are some people that are divorced, and you find that the woman is left with the children, but and the house. But this guy is divorced, but he has left certain stuff, his stuff in the garage or in one of the bedrooms, but they are divorced. So you have to understand that when he comes to the house, does he come and knock and say, I'm going to check my things in the bedroom? Because if he's coming to your house and you're not there, and as you come in, he's going out, how will you feel about that?
You may even suspect that they are still, there's something is happening there.
I don't know ka Sesotho ka re go utlwile go bua Sesotho, mara Bapedi ba re didupana marago ga di tswane.
Say that in English? Maybe difficult to translate. I can say, I don't know if that's Sesotho in Sesotho, but loosely translated that those that have sniffed each other's butt don't just easily forget each other. Say that again in Sepedi. I love the concept there.
Didupana marago ga di tswane.
So you never forget.
Yeah. Exactly. So just imagine. So those are the kind of things that must be put in. You understand that relationship.
Because if you don't, this conflict is going to arise.
It's going to arise because there will be insecurities. There will be challenges. About the money. What are the terms of the contract on money? If now we are staying together and this house, these children that you find in this house, this is their house. This is their space. Right? And now
I'm coming in.
You're coming in. In whose space is their space? And as you are coming into their space, obviously, we have to decide where do you put your clothes. Because if the wardrobe of your woman is full, they might put your clothes somewhere in the passage, in that, that cupboard in the passage. And the children, you find that the children have got their own space and they are not willing to share. And that is why it's important that as you're building this blended family, you need to consider those. And it's always advisable that if you are capable, you find a neutral place that none of these children can claim as their own.
Hmm. Does it mean that when you talk about the blended families, that you're suggesting that they must be part of, in fact, they must be part of dialoguing about that you don't just, both of you don't just, because then you mitigate
Yes.
possible problems.
Problems, exactly.
So but the point I'm making is that you then, both of you bring those 8 children.
Yes, yes, yeah.
This is what we're studying, both of you, and what are your child, so that they become part and part of the narrative of the journey.
Exactly. Very much important. Remember that the vendor people will say, "Aele wuswa," which says that it doesn't eat pap, right? Over time, as you are hurt, you will get healed, and your feelings of wanting to be loved will come back. And as you heal, don't forget that it is not only you who was hurt, even the children were impacted. It's either by the death, if you are single because of death, or by the absent father, or the father that was never married to you, or even by divorce. So, in the process of your healing and wanting to start a new life, you mustn't think of yourself alone, that I want someone to be happy with. Remember that the children also must be brought on board. And that is where I come in with the role of counselors, where we need people who can do counseling and prepare the children. And as much as you prepare. And let me say this, Mr. Botha, that we've got a challenge of many people who are quick to prepare for a wedding day, but they don't prepare for a marriage life.
Say that in simple terms. What do you mean?
People spend money on wedding rings, wedding dress, catering, decoration, cameras, and everything, but they will never take time to go and do a premarital counseling, which I call a risk assessment. Which it might cost them maybe 5,000 rand, 6,000 rand, 6 sessions or everything, just to do those 6 sessions before you can even say, I'm sending people to go negotiate lobola.
And how do those sessions help?
Those sessions helps because, as I say, that is risk assessment. They help you to see and to address things that normally those that are in love will not address. Premarital counseling, if you were to come for my premarital counseling, I will talk about genogram. Genogram, I'll use this assessment tool, genogram, where I look at your background. Who is Botha? How did you grow up? Who are your parents? How many siblings? What kind of work? Did you experience any abuse in your family? All those things are very much important for me to understand and for your partner to understand. But when you're in love, we don't ask these questions. Then I will ask, how do we deal, for example, in the blended family, how do we deal with the issue of discipline?
Yeah, because I may even suggest that you are doing this because this is not your child.
Exactly. How do
You are being cruel.
Exactly. So those are the kind of things that must be discussed.
Or wa hanela lo bula fridge.
Exactly.
And the fridge na say how remember o keni mona wena.
Rabaki.
O tleka baki.
Yes.
O so beya molao mona.
Exactly. So we need to discuss that pre-marriage. That's why you say premarital.
It prepares us.
It prepares. It asks questions. Another question that is important. Since now we are getting married, are we still going to have other children? Fine, because you might come in assuming that you still want 5 more children and she's got 2 or 1. Can we talk about that even before we commit, before we start doing the lobola negotiations? The question of boundaries. How does the other person visit? How long? When the children meet, how do we make sure that these children, because even you and your siblings fight, what more about when I'm bringing children that are not part of this crawl? So those things must be discussed before marriage. But no, people get excited.
And that's what love does.
Get excited about the wedding day. We get excited about how he makes me feel, how she makes me feel, and we forget the basics that the same nice thing can be destroyed by children that are fighting. Can be destroyed by the in-laws that still loves the person that you have divorced.
That are still in the past. They have these private meetings with him, with her, without you knowing, and you immediately suspect that what are they doing? Are they conspiring against this marriage? She thinks this way, he thinks this way. Why are they allowing him to still visit them when they've divorced?
Exactly. And they will even call her to attend the funerals or even the events, and they don't even recognize the person that you are with. How do you deal with those things?
How do you deal with those?
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
An important question must answer. You must answer how do you deal with that.
But I was just saying first, before I bring how do you deal with this?
Yeah.
Firstly, is to talk about those things.
That's the premise.
Before you even commit to one another.
But tell me, at that stage, do you bring both, all the children? Are they part of that? Or you only do it for Naliena? The two of us only.
Obviously, when I do my counseling sessions, I'll first have a session with you alone. I'll have a session with her alone. And then from there, I'll bring you together. Then after that, when we do our sessions, it will be important now to bring the children on board.
And why do that? Why do we bring them? Because this is ours.
Because you can never divorce your children. You can divorce their father, their mother, but you can never divorce your children.
True. I've always used the term. I've said, I've never seen ex-children.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard Munari. You see, those kids are my man. They're my ex-children.
No.
But I know of ex-husband, ex-wife.
Ex-wives. And then remember that the law in South Africa gives parental rights and responsibility to both parents, even after divorce. You can have a primary residential with the children, but doesn't mean that you've got all rights over the children at the expense of the other party. So it's important that you always have the children. So you cannot decide to get married and leave your children behind. The other thing that is also important, which we have to look at, especially with the mothers, our parents, when we bring them on board, is also to discuss that, because if Botha is the breadwinner, the mother, when she says, I've got electricity, I've got food, is because of Botha. How will that affect the marriage when you come in? Especially when you come in with children. And Botha now has got sisters that are at home, that are not working, that he has been looking after. And now all of a sudden you are bringing extra mouth and you cannot afford to look after them anymore. Will they appreciate the new wife? They will obviously say, man, this woman since she came. But those things must be spoken about first. And if your listeners were to hear me, of all the things that I've said, the important thing that do a proper risk assessment. And you as a couple, you are not in a position to do a proper risk assessment because you are not objective. You are subjective as you are doing this.
You are emotionally invested in this. You want it to work. You want it to succeed.
Exactly. At all costs, and when you can even compromise important things that can help you. And that is why I was saying that then when you come, you ask the question, how do you do these things? Firstly, you can never conquer anything that you don't acknowledge. So premarital counseling or risk assessment helps you to acknowledge certain landmines. And this is a landmine.
That are on your path.
That are on my path. And we know how to best navigate. Maybe somewhere we might press one, but we have put measures in place that if in case this thing happens, this is how we are going to handle it. So that is how best you can handle it and talk about it. And that is how I've been working.
And these relationships, Dr. Spaumer, doesn't mean that we can go to a lawyer and just say, regulate this. They're not. We can't do that. Am I right? Look, I can't say, go regulate, he must respect me. I'm the new head of the family. Or she is my, this, yeah.
Yeah. Look, obviously respect. We talk about your partner. Your partner must respect you. And when we talk about blended family, it's not just the respect between the two, the couple, but also the children. And if the law can regulate, let's talk about the one regulation that is there already.
Okay.
There is the regulation of parenting plan.
Okay. You spoke about that earlier.
Yeah, parenting plan is where we have agreed what time the other other parent will come and collect the children and drop the children. But what if this other parent who's got a law, there's a law, but the other parent choose not to follow
that law or adhere to
whatever it has been agreed to by the lawyers? It can cause a problem between us.
Can be a sort of conflict.
A big conflict. Because remember that my spouse will say, but you are soft with your ex. Where you are claimed that you are soft with your ex. You must do this. And at the same time, I feel like I need to sort out in that. And then my ex will say, but no, this thing must be. And I must say that also was a struggle for me.
In your own relationship?
In my own relationship. Because she
with Branded?
Yes, because she would say that, but this thing is not supposed to be that way. But I was feeling that, no, for the sake, she says, no, we need to set boundaries. You need to set boundaries. Your relationship with your ex is on the child. She can't be having a flat tire and be calling you.
What if that flat tire is actually carrying my child and I'm not there? She's calling. In fact, she is a conduit. She's only calling me because not because she wants us to be together, but it's in the best interest of that child. He has to go to school, but her car is broken.
And that is why I like the law. The law is there to protect us. And the people that draft laws, they are doing it to cover any eventualities. In my parenting plan, one of the things that is written there, it says that in case the child gets sick when he's with either of the parents, it is the responsibility of the parent that is with the child to make sure that the child is taken to the hospital. And it's the responsibility of the parent that is with the child to inform the other parent that the child is in hospital. And it was even going further to say that the traveling arrangement of the other parent to the hospital is that parent's responsibility, not the parent who is with the child. Those are some of the things that we might take for granted in the law, and it's there. I do parenting plans, right? I draft them, but the parenting plans is standardized in such a way that it must address such kind of eventualities. So if you are with my child and you've got a puncture, then call your insurance, right? You cannot call me. Call your insurance. And it looks hard. And that's why also another thing that I want to say, especially for the gentlemen. Many guys, we are nice, but not kind.
Say more, what do you mean? Because there is a view out there that the law does not support men. In fact, there's a view that says that the law is in fact, it targets men. That the law is unfair towards men. I wonder if there's that prevailing, whether it's scientific or not, but there's a view held by many men. I don't have research, I don't have numbers, but there's a view that this law, the South African law, is there to oppress, to suppress men.
One of the things that the law does is to also address the injustice of the past. And there are certain laws that were passed to do that. And for years, we have seen women being oppressed. But the law of South Africa, especially in relation of the Children's Act, which is the area where I work in, is clear. And one of those is to give fathers the right of contact, rights of guardianship. But remember, the law can only work for you if you allow it to work for you. We got people that are facing injustice, but they don't report it. They don't open the cases. There's a case that was in the news of a woman that was taken to court, and she was sentenced to go to jail because she refused access to the father of the child.
I remember one of my producers, Hetile, spoke about it.
Exactly. So the law.
But is it not far in, is it not, these are not, would you not say or agree in your work that, have you heard or found situations where a lot of men complain that, but look, this whole thing does not work for me? And I'm raising it when we talk about blended families.
Yes.
That also impacts on the relationship that I will have with,
Yes, for sure. I mean, there are some women when they found a new man, they would like to put the real father, away from that. But what we are saying here is that it's important for men to stand up and fight. And there are two reasons why I will encourage that. We've seen through the shows like Kumbule Kaya where children will ask their parents, why didn't you do enough? And that is one reason that I will do to fight for access to my child, so that even one day they come, I'll say I fought because you are worth it. And some parents, when they find resistance, especially men, we find resistance, we go. And that is where I go back to the issue of being kind and being nice. Because people that are nice are doing things to please the other people at their expense.
So you're saying that, no, well, what are you saying? Are you saying that be kind?
Be kind.
And not be nice.
Not be nice. Because being kind, I'll be able to set boundaries. I'm kind enough to tell you that you are not going to come to my house at this particular time. I'm kind enough to set boundaries, because when you are nice, it's not easy to set boundaries. When you are nice, it's not, when you have to tell someone that is not nice, that's something that it is disturbing you, you easily will swallow it because you want to be nice. And there are a lot of men that are nice and they've been dumped, though they are nice, because they are not kind. Because kindness will say to you that, but look, there's a law, there's a court agreement, and what you are doing, you are violating the court agreement. And I will stand my ground to make sure that this court agreement is implemented, because I want to protect myself and my children and my new family. But if you are nice, you will let your ex, whom you have divorced, to continue to infiltrate or to live in your marriage, whereas you are separated with this person. And that to say that for the sake of peace. But I'll tell you, takers never stop taking. The more you are nice.
Say that again.
Takers, they never stop taking.
So they normalize taking.
They normalize taking. And the day you put your feet down, they start doing, you are not fair. And they'll say not fair because they've been taken. If you continue not to protect your current marriage at the expense of your wife, and you are pleasing your ex at the expense of her, you will lose. And I'll tell you, you will move from one relationship to another. Because soon we will find out, those that know maths, they still talk about a common denominator. Because you are the one that is moving from one relationship to another. And you ask, but I'm a nice guy. What do women want? Or what do people want? Because I'm a nice, they take advantage of me. No, it's because you are nice, you are not kind. To set boundaries. So it is important that in blended families, we set boundaries. We set boundaries with the children. We set boundaries with my own children. We set boundaries with our families, our loved ones, that they must know that they're going to respect my wife, though they may like the one that is gone, the ex, but you must now, you put it there, that is over, I'm starting. And if you don't put it, and it's not nice when you set boundaries. People think that you are rude, but they tend to respect you.
So you even tell both parents that, look, culturally and what, don't bring those things that are going to destabilize this family.
You have to be hard. They call it tough love. and tell your family, both sides, even some of your friends. And I was with one friend of mine. He was telling me that, Andrew, in your work, I will advise you that you start working with people that are 10 years. Your target market for your work should be people that are 10 years younger than you. I said, what are you talking about? And he said to me, look, people that are your age, they know too much about you. They know you when you had nothing. They know your struggle. But those that are 10 years young, then they look at you. They said, Botha has made it. How did he survive? They aspire and they can encourage you. So it is important that you also set boundaries, because you may be divorced, but there are certain friends that you are keeping that will still make arrangements for you to meet with your ex. Or they might look badly at your current spouse because they are still in the past. Yeah, they're still preferring the one that you are not with.
So do family, so blended family, does it work?
Anything can work.
Who do in your studies? I don't know if in your work, in your studies,
or maybe to interject.
Okay,
mine is working. I think that one I can put it better. Yeah, I cannot talk about others.
Well, mine is working as well. Yeah,
exactly. So we asking the question because we cannot answer for other people. We can only answer for ourselves and what we have seen. So
and what made you to work? Yours to work.
And one of the things that I appreciate is the relationship that I have with my daughter.
From the
yes, my daughter. My wife came with I appreciate. Wow, she will prefer to call me when she needs something. Can you come fetch me from school? Then I find that my son also prefers to talk with my wife.
Your wife who's not the biological mother.
Exactly. When he's there, he will go. When they go to...
What's the magic? What did you do?
Look,
what did you do?
It's one of the things that I remember that we had to discuss before marriage is about discipline. That, can you imagine when you are getting into the house, you're just from work, and you find your wife screaming at your son that you came with in the marriage. Though you may not know the context and everything.
It's what happened.
And what happened.
Why did she behave the way?
It will hurt you. And one of the things that we agreed about is that you don't, before I discipline your daughter, I'll talk to you first. And rather, we prefer that you do the discipline than me doing the discipline the same ways. Talk to me, and it helped. But also, remember that this is not your blood. And in the beginning, you have to set boundaries, but time and again, you have to bribe.
How?
Bribe.
Are you not damaging this?
You're not, obviously you're setting boundaries. Like, if it's time for buying clothes, I'd rather prefer to give her the money to go and buy clothes with my son than my son thinking that it is coming from me. It creates the same thing with your in-laws. Don't let your spouse go visit the in-laws without holding anything from you, because they will say that this is from my son-in-law. And where does that place you?
A level of respectability.
Exactly. They say that this person is caring. You understand? So the other thing that also helped was when we made a decision to say, you go to your house and you've been staying with her, with your child in this house. I've been staying with my child in this house. Then let's buy a common place where neither of them will feel that this is their place, and they own up the place, both of them. And we buy it while we are still together. But that also, we need to be careful, Mr. Botha, because you find that, let's say you are a widow, your husband or your wife has left you with wealth and houses and everything for you and the children. So I cannot just all of a sudden sell this house that belongs, these children have got memories, and say that I'm going to start a new life, because it might hurt them. In some cases, we might have to sacrifice and leave the children in that house. And I go and we build our own something. And then when they are ready to come over, they can come over. And also the other thing that is important, especially where during COVID, we have lost a lot of loved ones, and some are still
People died.
People died,
Mm.
and we've got a lot of widows and widowers.
Yeah.
Just imagine someone coming into your house. All of a sudden, we have to move the pictures. There was the picture of your mother there or your father who's deceased there, and now because someone is in, you have to move.
Mm.
That will cause a serious challenge to the children.
A disharmony.
Exactly. Who are you to come and remove my mother?
Our memories.
Memories.
We treasure them.
Exactly. So sometimes it's important that you move away and start something, even if you have to hire a room for the two of you, for the sake of building these children and also building your relationship. And these things, you take it slowly. And the other thing that I also want to talk about while we're there is that children, because you can have children and children are not the same. What if we are a blended family and we've got this child that is failing? That is what we call naughty.
Okay.
The lack of a better way, we've got a prodigal son.
Okay.
The son who demands and goes in wastes and come back. And you've said it yourself that we don't have ex-children.
Mm.
It's easy to love.
There are no dustbins.
No, there's no dustbin for children. Especially in our country now where we are dealing with things like nyaope and stuff like that. Those are some of the challenges that can come for blended families.
So you're saying that it's about communication.
About communication.
It's about planning.
Planning and plan again.
But it's also about involving. It's also about ownership, that these children should have a sense that we are part of building something.
Exactly.
You don't come and impose, because then when you impose, it's a receipt for rejection, resistance.
Mm-hmm. They will reject you. Bring them slowly on board. Engage them. Consider their views and bring them on board. Talk about how things are going, how do they see things. Take them for counseling. Take them for counseling. Let another person talk to them, because that will help them, and it will also help you to have a different perspective from what you think things are. Because sometimes we think that things are in a particular way, whereas they are not.
So blended families are not easy.
They're not easy.
By the mere fact that you're bringing two different people with different baggages, with different history, traumas, had pain, and So they are not. We would be naive to sit here and to think that blended families are easy.
Blended families are not easy, but neither do also those that are not blended. Because even we are sitting here, we might have gone through divorce ourselves, and it was our first marriages. That means also if that
we both went through it.
Exactly, you understand. So we cannot just claim that blended families all together, it can never work. Anything that we put our mind to can work. It's just that we must put and take drastic and learn lessons, do things better. And the other important thing, learn to forgive.
Not easy to do.
Which is not learn. It's not easy to learn to forgive. Stop resentment. Don't hate. Let go of the other person. Because there are people that are divorced, but they are still living with the person that they've divorced in their minds. When they go through,
and they get into that relationship,
and then they go into a new relationship with them. That's why they will check this. You are busy checking someone's status, and you are divorced
of the ex. What?
You are busy.
You want to see, are they succeeding? Are they failing?
Exactly.
Are they better? You compare yourself.
Exactly. You understand? Then you want.
So what should I do? I shouldn't.
Look, close it.
Close the chapter.
It's hard to close, but close it. And you close it also for respect of the person that you are in.
In love with now.
You respect this person and don't try to please your ex at the expense. Let the person that you are with know that they are priority.
And the ex has no.
The ex, they must know their place. The only thing that brings you to communicate with your ex is the children. If it has got nothing to do with the children, I'm not getting myself involved. If you didn't, I gave you money for rent and everything and maintenance, and you did not pay and rent, and then now they're cutting, you cannot call me.
So, what would you say to those families that are struggling and they're blended? What would you say to them? Well, how do they navigate this? I mean, there are issues of money, there are issues of extended families. I mean, we talk about blood tax. You're sitting here with me now. Well, what's your advice? How do they navigate? How do they go through this? I mean, this turbulence of blended families.
Look, it's a challenge, and many of you have tried on your own. But a new perspective to what you are going through can be very helpful. So I will encourage you, please seek help. But the other challenge that I've seen, Papa Botha, is that people say that, no, he doesn't want to come for counseling, or she doesn't want to come for counseling. You don't go to counseling to solve your marriage. You go to counseling to help yourself. People want to solve their marriage before they can deal with themselves. So if you are going through something tough, mentally, wherever, go and seek help for yourself. And then when you are well, you'll be able to look after your marriage. You'll be able to look after your work. You'll be able to look after your children. And this must be clear. So if your spouse doesn't want to come for counseling, go alone. Take that step, say, I'm doing this for myself.
Self-interest.
For myself, because I love myself.
Positive selfishness.
Exactly. Which is very much important. Because some of the things you might be looking at them, and some things that people come to for counseling and they live there with a better perspective. And when they go home, because now they are healed themselves, it changes even their marriage, it changes their family, it changes the whole relationship because they've learned to love themselves. That is why I said, let us learn to be kind more than nice. When you are kind, you learn to love yourself. You learn to take care of yourself. And taking care of yourself is not about being selfish. It's about going there to say that I need help and I'm going there to get help for myself. That is the thing that will help you.
Dr. Spaumer, thank you so much.
It is a pleasure.
I firmly believe that you may be dealing with challenges that have to do with you being in a blended relationship, in a blended family, but all is not lost. I think there's time for you, as we speak, to work on this. There are issues of boundaries. There are issues of money. There are issues of interference, both from the ex, both from the parents. There are issues of friends that you may not be keeping, but these are friends that are toxic to the relationship. So blended families, all is not lost. It's not bad, but also it's not a bed of roses. Let me repeat, it's not all bad, but it's not a bed of roses. One has to be conscientious about it. One has to accept and acknowledge and be intentional that I want to make sure that this family, blended as it is, it works. But thank you so much. Continue to like us, to subscribe to us so that we grow this, so that we engage South Africa. Thank you for being part of this episode.
This is Tea with Botha.